Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 29. In this episode, I talked to Clem Lafrades. Clem owns a gym in Federal Way, Washington. She's an energy healer, and she's a self-care and empowerment mind-body coach. In this episode, Clem and I talk about the mind-body connection, being present with your kids, and her realization after 22 years of marriage. Stay tuned because I know that you're going to love this episode. But first, I want to tell you about a new manifesto. At the core of being a badass. Are you tired of being ordinary? Of doing what everybody else does? Of following the same boring rules? I think being ordinary is letting a problem somehow mean that you're a failure. Or letting others define you and who you are. Ordinary people, they don't grow. They don't try to think outside of the box. They are just okay with the status quo. But friend, you're listening to the Ordinary to Badass podcast. I know that you're a badass and that you're with me in fighting to become one, to be the best you that you can be. So if you want to check out the manifesto at the core of being a badass, go to www.ordinarytobadass.com. Now to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or you're badass, I'm glad you're here. Today's guest is Clem Lafrades. Clem, thank you so much for being here.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on the show. But first off, before we go any further, I have got to ask you, do you consider yourself to be ordinary or badass?
Oh man, upstandingly badass.
I love that. Have you always felt that way?
No, I think not everybody, or I mean, you know what? I think as children we feel like that, and then life happens.
Yeah.
And then we forget.
Totally.
And then life happens again, and we're reminded once
Yes.
we pass 40, I think.
It does seem to get a little bit easier the older that we get.
Yeah.
But then everybody, for all the listeners who can't see Clem, she is wearing a hat that says Badass Manifestor.
Yeah,
So clearly she's a badass. I love it. So Clem, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a self-empowerment and self-care coach. I also own a gym for women called Victory Get Fit Club. It's a mind and physique transformation boutique in Federal Way, Washington. I've been in the fitness industry for over 17. Okay, I'm 44. I was 19 when I started, and then I owned my own fitness company 17 years ago. So a long time. In the process, became a life coach, and now I'm just certified as a sound healing practitioner, sound bath, sound massage, all that great stuff. I did bodybuilding. I produced bodybuilding shows for a while. So it runs a gamut of different things, meditation and yoga, all kinds of things.
Nice.
Life has been an adventure for sure.
It kind of sounds like all things like wellness.
Yeah, wellness I think it started wellness for my physique. You know, when you're younger and being called different names. And then finding ways to change my physique to improve my confidence level and my self-belief or my self worth, trying to come through the physical aspect, and over the years realizing it was really an emotional, mental, and spiritual connection that really needed to happen. So the metamorphosis happened over time. And there's a lot of different avenues that had happened in between time.
Uh-huh. So do you think that when you first started getting into fitness, do you think it was because people were calling you names, or was it just kind of a search on your own to find confidence in who you were?
When I was little, I'm Filipino for those who cannot see because I am on a podcast. I'm Filipino, and I was called like by my family and parents, and they thought they were loving words of endearment. I
Hmm.
think endearment. I was called tabachoy, which means fatty. And there's always those comments of, "Oh, you're fat." And then when I have a slim, skinny sister, it's like it's so obvious in their face,
Hmm.
that there is a difference. And it started in that way. And I think I remember seeing a picture in the 90s. I was in high school in the 90s, and there was a picture of a strong, muscular, not like overly, not bodybuilder type or anything, but she was like strong and confident. She was standing on a rock on a beach or something like that, the ocean behind her. And this is in the 90s when everybody was super skinny, like, Calvin Klein ads.
Hmm.
Everybody was very, very frail looking at that time. And I saw this vision of a woman who looked nothing like everybody else in, media. And I thought, oh my gosh, sh- I want to, I felt connected to her for some reason, but I wasn't really working out or doing anything at that point. And then I ended up joining a gym later, when I was 18, ended up working at the gym when I was 19 because I wanted a free membership.
Nice.
And it was, I think it might be a compilation of all, like being inspired by her and being so different, but then also, the outward, societal um name calling, that, opinions about me. So it was a compilation. And I think, sometimes we have to use these things that may feel negative and help push us into a positive direction. And it might not be, totally healthy at first, because you might be motivated by self-accept and, being accepted by others, as opposed to being accepted by yourself. So it may start in a negative light at first, but then eventually, through enough life experiences, it can turn into something positive.
Right. And what I like about that too is you were inspired by somebody who looked a little bit different to you, or somebody that you hadn't necessarily seen before. And I think in a day and age where we have all this social media and all this stuff around us, sometimes we think we need to fit the mold of what everybody else is doing, but it's actually what's different that inspires us and, gives us motivation to do something different.
Yeah. And through the years, it's like, you find out on your journey and you keep journeying towards personal development or your higher self. And you're going to find out that it doesn't matter, because there's going to be shaming. I've been both fat shamed and both fit shamed. So
Hmm.
it's like, you can't make everybody happy. Like
You
when I
can't.
lost my weight, my mom said I was too skinny. And then when I was too big, my mom said I was too big. And then it's like, they're never going to be happy. And I'm online, and, people are posting comments, and trolls are posting comments on my photos saying it's okay to be a man without a penis. And just saying, even women are fit shaming and saying this is ugly, and women shouldn't look like that, and this is not sexy at all. And so you're you're gonna go through the journey, and you might look at someone else and say, oh, I like that. And then you veer and you work towards it, and you strive, and then you eventually will find that what you like. what that you personally like, and it might be that it is not something anyone else likes.
Totally.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So it can be hard having the haters that want to make comments that don't even really know you.
Oh, they don't know me.
But how do you deal with that? And was it hard when you first started getting those kind of comments as compared to now? Because the more you deal with it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
But how has that been for you? And how have you dealt with
My
it?
husband warned me a long time ago. He said, the more that you become known or put yourself out there, you're going to be more susceptible to more comments, more hate, more trolls, all that stuff. So it was and I thought, oh, I totally can handle it because I already got those like really mean ones.
Right.
But it was so different because they were people I didn't know. And so I think it was easier for me to deal with those that I didn't know. And then the comments of people that I felt were like, closer to me or more acquainted to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought those were a little bit more hurtful. And then how I dealt with it was, well, I got a therapist. I got a spiritual healer, but I had to go through the journey of returning back to myself,
Yes.
making my opinions matter more and really valuing myself because my opinions don't matter unless I mattered to myself. And so I believe that it all came back to that is, your self love wasn't enough that you put so much weight on other people's opinions. And now, I think I'm looking at like people who are on social media and they're huge targets because they've got big followers and they don't even, a lot of people are so smart they don't even read this they read that stuff. And I know with my spiritual healer, my energy healer, she doesn't even read. I think she has her assistant do her whole thing anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I'm not too familiar with like an energy healer and what that does or what she does for you. Can you explain that a little bit?
I actually am an energy healer, but I use sound bowls. There's two bodies, and this is what I've learned over the years is I have been since I was 19 or 16 years old, been like really focused on changing myself, or you could say that in a more positive way and say personally develop myself. Um, but the younger I was, it was more towards changing myself.
Right.
But in the beginning, it was trying to transform my outward physical body. And over time, what I realized was we really have two bodies. We have a physical body, and then we have our soul and spirit body, which is made out of not these particles that you see on your skin and your body, particles and matter. And then your real self, who you really are, is your soul and your spirit, which is made out of energy. Everything has energy and it's tested. It's scientifically proven, quantum physics, scientifically proven that everything has a measurable amount of energy emitting from it. Even the earth does. And every person does also. And we have 7 main energy centers going up our body that emits energy. So some people call it aura, some people call it chi, life force, whatever. But it used to be like back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, our ancestors knew about it. But it's now just being scientifically, not just now, it's been since the 70s. I think Dr. Hawkins studied the original kinesiology, measuring muscle and the energy coming from like words, or the difference between like what happens to your energy. They can test what happens if one word is said that is positive or one word that is negative that's said, or if you are holding an organic apple or versus a conventional apple, what happens to the energy of the body. So it's been a lot of scientific tests have been made in that area. So that's what I mean by energy. And then there are, ancient healers from other countries. I know in my lineage, I've denied it for so long. My mom's a faith healer. My grandfather is a faith healer and a seer. And I didn't want to tell anybody that because I was a little embarrassed being, in this, just in this day and age where that's all kind of woo-woo, witchcrafty or whatever. And now society has becoming more acceptable of it because, alternative medicine has, it is seeing that, you've got to heal the energy body or the soul body too. And whatever comes from, and I know in China, I think it's the Taoists, they believe that all sickness and disease first comes from the mind. You can heal the mind and the heart, then you can heal the body. But if the mind and the heart are ill, then the body eventually will show up the illness from whatever's going on in there.
So how has that translated to your life, or how has that helped you in your life?
Oh my gosh. So 3 years ago, I've been in business for a while, running my own gym, my own fitness company. I chose it to be all women's club so that I could support, but mostly because I wanted girlfriends and to have the circle of sisterhood around me. And over time, it became like, oh, success means a certain way, this amount of money or this amount of numbers or this amount of members, whatever, measured by society's standards. And I started to veer off from the heart part, which is the soul part of the company, which is the friendships, the love, the community, the camaraderie, and really was trying to create success in the numbers part. Mm-hmm. So what had happened was I found, thank God that this was here for me. At first it was difficult, but now I call it a blessing. But I had found that I became more noticeably a people pleaser, trying to do, asking everybody what they want, what their opinions were, what they needed, and lost sight of myself. Mm-hmm. And that brought on more criticism because there's a saying that says you can't say the wrong thing to the right person and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. And in my endeavor to people please and attract everyone and serve everyone and make everyone happy, I would change things about my business or create things that weren't really in my own heart. Mm-hmm. And then eventually that will create disalignment from your business and who you are to where you're now totally you're not even recognizable to yourself, and your business is not recognizable anymore because Right. It is morphed into something else, and it creates disharmony. It creates more criticism from people who didn't even need to be there in the first place because they weren't the right match. I had an anxiety attack 3 years ago, never had one in my life. And I thought it was a heart attack. So I'm here in this office. My kids, my family were downstairs, and I thought I was dying. Like my chest closed up. It like strangled my heart and my lungs. I couldn't breathe and I couldn't move. And I tried to call out for help, and no words came out. Like my mouth barely moved, no sound came out. And I thought, okay, I'm dying. And I really thought I was dying. And as soon as first I was scared, of course, and I was sad and scared. No, it was scared first, and then scared turned to sad. Like, oh, I'm going to miss my family, I'm going to miss my kids, and I didn't have enough time because I hustled and grinded for my business and didn't put that time towards my family and my, the people I loved more. And then this calm, or this, I can't explain it, like a sense of peace
Mm-hmm.
and surrender came upon me like a wash, a bath kind of. I don't know how you want to call it, but it just kind of enrobed me of surrender. And I thought, okay, God, whatever you have for me next, I release it. And I know, just tell my kids and tell my husband that I love them. And then as soon as I surrendered, my chest opened up again, and I was able to breathe. I was able to get up, and I was like, holy crap, that was all my head. My mind, in its wisdom, needed to protect me by just shutting me down.
Right, right.
Right? Because so there is a mind and body connection. If like it shut me down, it like dropped me on my butt on this floor, and I had this feeling that I needed to start moving towards more of the spiritual realm or the soul realm and work on that body. And so that's where my energy healing with through sound bowls and sound baths have led me to. But it had to go through my own personal healing of, the lack of self-confidence, the lack of self-worth, that these people's words even affected me in the first place.
Right.
And allowing criticism to be something that I allowed my mental health to suffer for. So that's kind of the route that took me to here.
Right. No, it sounds like you've been through a lot in your business journey, both kind of the struggles and the successes, and I would love to jump into those a little bit more.
Yeah.
So can you share with us something that you're most proud of accomplishing
In business?
in business and life? It's up to you.
Oh gosh. Oh, accomplishing. Okay, here. The biggest one is staying married for 21 years to the same person.
That's awesome.
And we started a podcast last year called Clem and I, Unequally Yoked. And it became because we're both very different. He's African American, I'm Filipino or Filipina, and he is 5 years older than me. He's Muslim, I'm Christian, and he eats meat, I don't. There's so many, he grew up in California. I grew up here in Washington, very different cultures. He was exposed to very different people. And somehow, we made it through it. It was really, really hard in the beginning. And just like all other things in life, including business, your family, your physical health, physical fitness, when it gets hard, you really want to give up because you begin to believe it's just not worth it. It's not worth the trouble. It's not worth the heartache. It's not worth the pain. It's not worth the anger or whatever. It's just not worth the anguish and the emotion. So it was, now I call it a blessing, because through the so many things that I went through with him, it helped me really. Everything is a reflection for us. Like, we think it's them and they're doing it to us.
Right.
I mean, really, when you're married to someone so different and society, I mean, we would go to dinner with people, and his managers, he worked with 24 Fitness back in the day, and his manager, a lot of managers look at us funny, like, how are you guys married? Like, you're Muslim, you're Christian. What? It's not even right. And, when people would, if you Google unequally yoked on Google, it'll tell you it's a sin. But yet we outlasted a lot of our Christian friends who are now divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So, it really is a journey of looking at yourself and stop putting people to blame, or stop making circumstances the reason why you're not successful, or you can't have the happiness or the joy or the things that you want out of life. It's all everything is happening for me, not to me. So now I'm able to look at all of those arguments as, what does it that had helped me get stronger. It helped me learn to communicate better. It helped me learn to be more empathetic and see the other person's side, where for years, the first 5 years was like, oh my God, you can't see the other person's side. You need to hear my,
Right.
this is my aspect of, of this situation.
But then it's funny too, because when they do something, it's like you're seeing it through your own lens. You're not seeing it from their perspective at all. And we all do it, because we're all raised a certain way and it's different from somebody else, but it's easy to just view it from your own lens or your own perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course our perspectives are so different because he's male, I'm female, he's
Right.
He's Black, I'm Filipino, he's California, I'm from Washington, he eats meat, I don't. He, prays
Right.
5 times a day and I meditate. And so it's just so like we see situations based on our known past, our own known history, our own known experiences, and we think we know what the other person is thinking or feeling or just doing based on what we know, but we don't know everything,
Totally.
So
It's so, yeah, but you become so convinced, like, just because this is my life experience, this is what this means, but it really doesn't.
yeah, it really doesn't. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of Eckhart Tolle, but he's a great teacher. He wrote the book, The Power of Now. That's a great one that helped me really get into the, stripping off my past and stripping off what I presume the future is based on my past, because I only know what the future is based on what I think I know from the past.
Right.
And just being in the now. And if you're in the current moment, are you really sad? Are you really mad? No, you're only mad because you're thinking about what just had happened, 5 minutes ago. But right now, that thing that just happened is not happening. So if I choose to stay angry or choose to see something in a certain perspective, it's because I'm holding on to a perspective that I'm putting in my brain in this moment. Yeah. So that's been
Yeah.
that's been a great epiphany.
So you said you've been married 22 years, is it?
Going on 22 September would be 22 years.
So what is one of the hardships or the struggles you face getting there that most people don't know about?
The biggest struggle is first realizing that it's not, it really does feel like, I'm going to preface this, it really does feel like he was the evil one or he was the culprit in the bad guy in the whole situation.
Uh-huh.
The biggest turnaround for me was learning to not put everything on him. And there were so many times I wanted to get a divorce and leave and walk out. And there was a verse in the Bible that says, for God so loved the world that he gave. And I'm like, I don't give enough of what I'm asking for. I don't give enough of the, I want to be heard. I want attention. And so I thought, okay, that was the first epiphany years ago. Like, okay, I need to put out what I'm wanting.
Yeah.
And then now in my 40s, because we've been married since I was like 21. Now that I'm in my 40s, it's like, hold on, you're not dishing out what you want other people to do for you to yourself. First, it was an epiphany of like, oh, I need to give that out to other people so that I can get that back. But now it's like, you don't even give it to yourself. And so once the self-love started, this past year has been the best year in my whole entire marriage. Working with a life coach and my energy healer, just helping me learn all of that's, going inside that's causing my energy that affects everyone else, affects my marriage, affects my business, affects my relationship with my kids. So I think that's my biggest.
Yeah. And I think that's so powerful. A lot of times we can have this outlook where we're so self-centered, where everything revolves around us and our decisions and what we do. But I love how you said, you need to focus on what you give to other people, because a lot of times what you put out is what you're going to get back in return.
Yeah. And you can't give to other people unless you're giving it to yourself.
Yep.
So the focus was me. It was still like me trying to get something from other people, get love, get appreciation, get, acceptance or whatever. And I was, trying to do all these things. Well, first I just expected it, like, you're my husband, you should do this. It's just your job. And then you're not doing it. And then there's the fights. I mean, I'm not saying those words, but that's the intent behind the things that we think we're fighting about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, I told my husband a few months ago, I said, the arguments we think we're having is not really the argument we're having. It's not the real thing we're arguing about.
Right.
We think we're arguing about the passwords for, for these different accounts that we have. We're not arguing about these passwords. What's the real reason? There is a deeper meaning behind, not being empathetic or not being patient or not working with the other person, in a kind-hearted way. That there's, we're not arguing about passwords. That's not the real thing. So I'm saying these words, saying that I'm doing these things to get them to do these things for me, but it's not the real reason. And when it comes down to it, I wasn't giving it to myself. And that's when the marriage really changed. And I think the first 7 years was really hard. And then I realized, I need to be more, that Bible verse, for God so loved the world that he gave. And I'm like, okay, the world sins, the world is mean, the world is not nice, and yet he loves. So I need to do that. You're, not always nice, so I'm going to love you. and then now the epiphany is like, wait, and now the marriage is even more at a higher level, way better. Business is better because now I'm more aligned to myself, and my priority is self, not in the means of, my priority is self because I need to do this and XYZ to get that for me, for them, the outside world, to give it to me. But now the priority is self, that my inside world is going to give it to myself.
It sounds less self-centered, but more just kind of finding your voice and being self-assured. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Just realizing that everything that I have is with everything that I want, desire, and need is within me already.
Mm-hmm.
And so that creates more of the self-assuredness and the peace and the, just the relax of it all, of not being so needy from
right
pushy, or because like confidence, just that's confidence.
Yep, absolutely. So I know that you said you have a husband. Do you have kids?
We have a 21-year-old about to move to California on Sunday.
Probably a little bit scary.
Yeah, and it's a 16-year-old.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever struggled with mom guilt?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
First I thought, I was like, oh, I'm not maternal. I'm not, I don't have that lovey-dovey, kissy-wissy. I'm not affectionate, and I'm just, I'm a hustle workhorse, and I'm going to be successful and, CEO, blah, blah, blah. And so my kids were raised with us always in business, and it's all they knew, right? So they don't know any different. They don't know what they're missing. And I was raised in that same way, but, back in the day, parents had like 3 jobs. And I thought, I'm going to make it better for my kids, and I'm going to go into business. That way they have their parents all the time with them. But then you can be with them, but not with them. Meaning there it goes the 2 bodies again, right? Your body could be there in that same room, but your soul and your spirit and your mind could be totally in somewhere else. So then the connection is lost anyway. So yes, I work from home a lot, but no, I was not connected, or I was not, creating a bond. And there was that mom guilt of, maybe if I just worked a regular job like everybody else, or, and I just, stopped working at 5 instead of stop working at 4 a.m.
Uh-huh.
And what if I just was, didn't have to work at all? And so there's all these different scenarios, but just in this past, year, it really is, again, I really realized how much I blamed situations, or I thought it was things happening to me and I couldn't control or have a choice. And I do have a choice. I did have a choice, and I do have a choice. And now with that realization, or that confidence, and that feeling, that self wholeness, our relationship is with both my kids, and they're at ages where they're not supposed to have relationships with their mom.
Right. So you've done
And
something right.
and I mean, all these years it's been hard. Like, I thought, oh, eventually I'll have so much money and I can stay home with them and then we'll have these great relationships. But then over time, when you're not there and you're not connecting and you're not, even physically connecting or spiritually connecting or just not emotionally connecting, it doesn't matter when you get the money, because now you're going to have to start from scratch and you don't know who they're being influenced by or what they're really focused on or what they like and don't like or who they're hanging out with. And then, it's just, I'm just really blessed that I was able to turn things around before they left.
So
Before,
what have you done in the last year to build more of a connection or to be more present?
oh my gosh, again, like, and it started from that anxiety attack, um, and then seeking out help, and then turning to an energy healer as opposed to also, just opposed to just having my therapist, and then really learning to connect to myself and love myself and heal my inner child. And that way, if I can realize, I had to realize what my inner child needed or is missing. And if I can nurture her, then I was able to nurture and help my own kids. And it just dawned on me maybe a couple months ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the things that I needed as a child, it's like logical.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's logical when we're listening to this, like you're listening to this right now. Why didn't she know that? But, there's childhood wounds and there's childhood hurts that we go through, and then we build these calluses on top. And then for me, the calluses were, just hustle and grind and be good in front of your parents so that they will love you more, lose the weight, make lots of money, and that's how you'll get love. Um, and then like sitting down with my coach and really realizing, hey, you know what do you really need? Like, what are the wounds in your child, the child you, that really wanted? And it was just to be loved and to be touched and to be hugged and to be affirmed, and to just know that I'm okay with failing or not, or successful, with or without, I'm still unconditionally loved. And so that turned it around for how I now treat my kids, instead of trying to push them to do more and be more and get better at your grades, or you're worth more than that. Like sometimes we think we're being affirming with our words, saying, oh, you're worth more than that. You could do better than that. But then that at the same time is also kind of a put down, and we don't realize it. We think we're being encouraging, but really, oh, I heard this quote from Kobe Bryant, because what just had happened,
Mm-hmm.
and he had said that he was in the seventh grade or something like that, and he went to summer camp for basketball, and that summer he made no baskets, like failed like no layups, no 2-pointers, no 3-pointers, no foul shots, like he made nothing the whole summer. And he was so devastated and sad, and his dad gave him a hug and said, it doesn't matter, because I love you anyway. And it gave him the confidence, he said it just turned everything around, his perspective turned around, and it gave him the green light to try and do and fail at everything until he could get good and find something that he wanted to do and get good at. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if I had that when I was younger? What if I can give that now to my kids? Like, it's okay if you fall down lots and lots of times. Who
Right.
cares?
Right.
And I'm not even going to say you could do better. Just hug them and kiss them,
Yes.
and love them, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah. No, I think that
Their
that's,
journey.
yeah. And I think that's powerful. And also just even saying you're proud of them. Like, I think telling your kids you love them no matter what, you know, and that you're proud of them and what they're doing. Sometimes we forget to say that.
Yeah, because we forget to say it to ourselves. We have all this pressure on ourselves. So then we dish it out and put all this pressure on them because we want them to be great. We don't want them to suffer in life.
Right.
Meaning we don't want them to suffer and be poor, or we don't want them to suffer and be ridiculed. So we push them, but we're really pushing ourselves because, you know, we're doing it to ourselves. So now we're trying to give it to them.
What we want for ourselves doesn't mean that's what they want for themselves, you know, like, or what we want for them even isn't what they want for themselves always.
Exactly. So, we think we're protecting them.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've done a lot of mindset work through the years.
Yes.
And I would love to talk to you a little bit about that. So can you tell me about your mindset and how it has led to your badassery?
You know, this is funny story is I started mindset studying when I was 18 and I first moved to California. I moved from Seattle to California, the Bay Area, and being raised by, you know, two transplants from the Philippines, and their whole mission and purpose in life was just to work so that we had, you know, so we could survive. And I wasn't taught a lot of things. I think maybe other parents would have taught their kids, and one of them was dating. And so I picked up some Barbara DeAngelis books, and that was my first introduction into self-help or mindset. And it was more into the, like, how you get a guy, or how do you go on dates, or how do you act when you know. So it was like a self-help, but then I could see the psyche behind a lot of this self-help stuff. And then it just kind of grew and grew, and I just started gobbling up more and more and more, failing forward with John C. Maxwell. That helped me in my early 20s realize, you know, you have to fail to make progress. And that was like epiphany, coming from a hardcore Asian family that, you know, success.
Yeah, totally.
Be good, be a doctor. And and I realized that the books were giving me things that I didn't have growing up, like the realizations of who I am capable of being, or there's more than, you know, just make money or survive, and that I actually have the power within me. And coming from, you know, looking different from everybody else and living in an area where I grew up in the south end of Seattle, not a lot of people were seen as successful in Rainier Beach, or you know, you just were there to survive, not thrive and grow. And these books were showing me something bigger, like, wow, you can, you know, go further. I remember someone from high school had sent me a Facebook message, like, what makes you so ambitious? Like, what makes you want to do more? Because where we came up and where we grew up, you just kind of, you know, just to have a job was already making it. You know, doing more than that. It was like, where is this all coming from? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, now that I'm talking to you and you asked that question about the whole mindset, and I really do believe it's from reading millions. I might be exaggerating on the millions, but it really does feel like it. So many books, and going to all the workshops and seminars and motivational speakers, and just exposing myself to new ideas. that we couldn't get in the ghetto or in the hood where I was from. So is the exposure to different types of people, different types of life, and different types of living really
Yeah.
make.
And I think oftentimes we think that we have to know these successful people in our day-to-day life, but the world is at our fingertips, especially with the internet. You can
Yeah,
Google anything. You can go on YouTube and watch any video and get inspired. Well, not any
right.
video, but you
It's
just,
so much easier now.
yes, yes. So I think that's an important takeaway though. You don't have to actually know somebody. You can read books, you can watch a video, but there's so much opportunity to improve yourself and learn from people without actually knowing them personally.
Yeah. And then now, in my business, I realized that people were coming to me for the purpose of changing their body and changing their physique. And then tried to explain earlier on, like, this is a mindset thing. This is a mind game. Like, if you can't condition the mind, if you can't strengthen the mind like you're trying to work on your body, it's gonna fizzle. And so I made that realization that there is a connection. And I changed the our tagline to, we're a mind and physique transformation boutique. And what I noticed, that people were drawn to us because of, first, oh wow, they're all losing weight, or oh wow, they're all changing their bodies and they look so drastically different. They're drawn in for that. And then they realize, holy crap, I can't sustain a lot of the challenges that come with transformation unless I have a strong mindset. And I have to work on those two bodies. While I'm working on my physical body, I really do need to be also working on my spiritual mind and emotional body at the same
Totally.
time.
Yes.
Then, like right now, we're having a special at our gym, a challenge called the Mindset Movement Momentum Challenge for March. And because usually this time of the year, in the middle of February, end of February, people who had these high hopes, bright-eyed excitement in the beginning of January start to fizzle down at the end of February. And it's like, you didn't even make it 8 weeks yet. And it's
Right.
because you're so focused on strengthening, changing, improving the physical body, the outward appearance, that we neglect, doing gratitude every morning, praying, doing our affirmations. We neglect reading the books that create an expanded mind. And then we wonder why we fizzle, because the body is only going to be as strong and as healthy as your mind is.
Yes. And I love that. And also part of ordinary to badass, a lot of people think kind of a badass has to be physically strong and that
Yeah.
that's what's going to create confidence, but it's like, I actually think it's the reverse. You have to be strong, like with who you are and on the inside before you can be physically strong.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So let's switch a little bit and talk about badass advice. And this is going to be more of rapid fire.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm ready.
What was your turning point for accomplishing your goals and becoming a badass?
It used to be that I was super organized. You could see the epiphanies of my life in different areas, not just marriage, and making the outward the focus, even in my physical body, making outward the focus, and then realizing it's within. But, I used to be the super planner. I created planners. I sold planners. I was a checklister. I had, big goal driven person, my business plan, marketing plan, financial plan, everything all laid out. And the big change for me recently is realizing there is a connection between, yes, be organized, but leave room for magic and miracles and intuition and divine intervention. And I didn't leave a whole lot of room for that because I was, in my insecurity, trying to be in control of everything and make things happen. Like, I can make things happen. And so I now realize, looking back, that I had blocked a lot of blessings because I was too in control, or too too much in control. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, I have a board here of all the things that need to get done, and I mean, everything was too much. And now I can sit and meditate in the morning, ask my heart, ask my soul, what's the day? What's the direction we need to go? And yeah, I may have created a guideline for today, but yesterday based on the things I need to get done, but I need to also leave room for magic and miracles.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about meditating in the morning. Do you have a morning routine that you usually do?
Yes. So drink 16 ounces of water. There's no lemon, fine. I do my meditation, and then I stretch, and I will do like a protection prayer around myself. And then I'm off on to the rest of my day. Working out,
Awesome.
of course, that's in there.
Do you notice a difference when you do it versus when you don't?
Yes. My energy's lower. I'm more irritable. I find myself reverting back to judgmental mind, looking at things I shouldn't be looking at that create disharmony within my being, in my emotions. That's huge.
Do you have a habit or a practice that has contributed to your success?
Reading all the time, every day. I'm either listening to an audiobook or reading, and also learning to be aware of my thoughts, and not just thinking thoughts, but also just more of looking at the thought and not being aware that I'm aware. A lot of times we just think and then we spit out of our mouth things that we're thinking. But now I'm a lot slower to examine and become more self-aware of the things that are going on in my head. Like there's 2 or 3 voices in there and I can hear them all. Yeah.
So I know that you said you read all the time. Can you recommend a book and share why?
Oh, Byron Tracy, What Is? I think that's name it. Byron Tracy. She's actually going to be here in Seattle soon. This one's really good for being truthful to yourself about what's really happening. Because like we talked about earlier, we think we know what we're seeing and doing and thinking, and we think we know what the other person is seeing, doing, and thinking. And she has this process of asking yourself, is that true? Is that really true? Is that, how do you know that's really true? And she goes through this process, and it really takes off a lot of the assumptions, preconceived notions, a lot of the judgment that turn into emotions of anger or sadness or, judgment on ourselves. It removes so much going through that process.
Okay, awesome. I'll definitely have to add that book to the show notes.
Yeah.
So let's end with a tip to encourage women who are in the arena fighting for the life that they want. And then if you can also share how we can connect with you.
Okay. The biggest tip that I have for women fighting for what they want is to shut the noise from everyone else and really spend intimate time with yourself every single day. Like shut the noise from electronics, from people. Be really self-secure that you can take yourself on dates, go on vacations by yourself, spend daily time by yourself without anyone else, and hear those voices and hear your own true heart. That's my biggest tip. And the book is called Loving What Is. That's the real name of the book.
Okay, cool. I'll look it up. I love that advice, though. Great. And then how can we connect with you?
Oh, yes, Clem. Okay, my name is Clem Lafrades. You can find me on Facebook, but you'll also find my Instagram, Slay and Shine, and also my website, slayandshine.com. So I'm Slay and Shine on both Instagram and my website. And Clem and Alfred is our page on Facebook for that. And you'll, find our gym through all of that stuff too.
Okay, awesome. I'll link to it all in the show notes. But thank you, Clem, so much for being on the show. You've been a total badass, and I've enjoyed hearing your story.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, everybody. Be blessed.
You too. And with that, we'll end our story. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future Spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.